I've had mixed responses and opinions about this, and feel free to share your experience too and your take. But I always had this keep it to yourself guideline. Whenever I get close with someone, or specifically when getting into relationships, like for example, if you watch my videos, if you notice, I never really share or rant about someone I'm actively dating, or like even an ex. I don't really expose details that are detrimental. I may share something that we went through briefly just to like make a point, or if it's a funny story or situation, I'll talk about it. But I think the only time I actually opened up about a situation in detail, like really got into detail, was like the crash out situation with the Samantha thing, which, you know, like, Aku, why do you have this guideline or policy, this keep it to yourself policy, or keep it to ourselves? Like, you tell your partner and you tell yourself, don't talk to anyone else about our relationships or the things that we go through. It sounds like I'm setting someone up, right? And I have malicious motives, because that's one of the earliest things an abuser tells to you. Hey, don't tell anyone about what we're doing. You get what I'm saying? Well, the reason why I don't share anything, or I say don't share anything, is because, and I know a lot of you guys experience this too, when you tell people close to you your current situations or problems with your significant other, that person who you shared it with will never forgive them. Like, it can be over the pettiest things. It doesn't have to be abusive. It could be about the pettiest things you're ranting to, and your friends will crash out over it. Or even if they don't crash out, they'll be extra critical towards your significant other. So, like, I'm not a perfect man, and I don't expect any woman I date to be perfect either. So when mistakes are made, or something doesn't become clear, I'll talk to them about it, and I won't tell others, because I know they're going to be harsher in judgment. You get what I'm saying? Like, just because we see something or experience something that we don't feel is okay, you should be able to talk to your partner about that. I'm not going to talk to anyone else about that though. And if I don't feel like I'm being heard from my partner, then that's when I will start walking away from my partner. That's when, I have to take a step back. However, you get what I'm saying? Like, it's not their business really. But this goes both ways, because sometimes it's important to tell other people or share with other people what's going on in your relationship, because you think someone loves you, but when someone else gives you a perspective about this love that you're experiencing, you realize you're being mentally or emotionally or spiritually or physically or financially abused, and you don't even know it. I've been through that too, where like I've been through two type of situations with this, where like I was expressing or venting to someone or ranting to someone about an issue I was going through in my past relationship, and while I was explaining what was going on, I was like, wait a minute. Here I am rationalizing what our relationship is like. Wait a minute, this is not actually okay. Well, I didn't even realize it until I started explaining it. You know what I'm saying? And I've also had situations too where I've had people recognize things when I didn't, when I was ranting about something. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to let others hear it so you can be offered a solution. However, at the same time, this goes back to how this started. Have you ever opened up to someone about something you're frustrated about in a relationship, and it's honestly very petty of a situation, and your friend or whoever pretty much you spoke to hates that person you ranted about for forever, or like weeks or months or years? You know what I'm saying? That can actually ruin your friendship too. You may have experienced this where you've essentially had to step away or get distant in a friendship. It's not because you hate your friend or anything. You had to step away from the friendship because you shared with that friend or family member something about your relationship or whatever. And they may have gotten overprotective, or they may have gotten or became too judgmental, and they started holding it against your relationship, or specifically your partner. When you love someone or feel loved, you might shield them from judgment or criticism from other people. I am one of those people. I tend to shield someone I love from everyone else's feedback. I think this is also why I don't talk to people about stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like I struggle to take judgment on my own relationship with people depending on how it's presented to me. I could listen or hear you out to how you feel about something I'm going through in my relationship. But if I feel like you're lacking the compassionate perspective on why I'm being this way or why I'm going through the situation, I'm just like, I'm still here with this person, then it's going to be in one ear and out the other with me. The point is, communication is very difficult for people. And this goes to my next point. You may think this is a simple answer. Aku. And I'm sure I'm going to read someone say this in the comments, or they're going to say something like this. Aku, You got to talk to someone you can trust. They're not a true friend. I you thought you are only partially correct. I trust a lot of people, but that doesn't mean they know how to communicate or handle my concerns. And that's another thing. Just because you trust a friend or family member, it doesn't mean they're going to properly tend to your voiced concerns. And we may misinterpret this a lot. A friend does not equal someone who embraces your irrational moments. Sometimes when people rant to you about their relationship, you just got to reserve judgment. That's why sometimes I just be like, hey, you just ranted to me. I'm not even gonna say anything, bro. I have things going on in my head, how I feel. I'm just not even gonna say anything. But in a world that is very opinionated and judgmental, or rather judgment is an everyday course, most people can't control themselves. And a lot of people don't want to go to therapy for stuff like this, or can't afford it. They don't want to go to a therapist talking about their girlfriend, or their boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? And when you're getting judged or hearing these very opinionated responses about you venting about your relationship, you get you start to close off. You like, damn, geez, I was just ranting, I was just venting about what I'm going through with my girl, and you're just you kind of destroying me here. You hammering it down here, and then now you don't want to talk to your friend anymore about your relationship things, or your family member about things. You know what I'm saying? And that's when you feel like you can't open up anymore. And this is what makes things worse, because if you really are in an abusive situation, because of how the feedback was to you opening up about it, you verbally shut down. You're like, oh, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And then again, if you really are in an abusive situation, this is how things get worse. So that's why I never open up to others. Or like I suggested to my partner, look, what's funny? When someone asks me, hey, Andre, how's your girl? We could be beefing right now, or just got into a heated argument or something like that, right? Someone be like, how's your girl, Andre? I'll be like, everything's good. Look, how's your girl? Good. That's it. Wait. You could be the best friend of all time. It's just not something to talk about. You know what I'm saying? If I felt like I wasn't heard in the relationship, I wouldn't be in the relationship to begin with. But if I feel heard, or, my points are being understood, it's just between us. It's like, what? Why do you got to know about it? You know what I'm saying? Well, if I got to vent it to you, I should be able to vent it to my partner. You know what I'm saying? And so if anyone asks me outside the relationship, how's the relationship, I just say positive things. What do you got to know about this? The worst thing is when you're dating somebody, right? Their friends hate you, or their family members hate you. That's the worst. You don't know what it's like when your lovers, friends, or family just despise you. And again, sometimes it can be justified, depending on what you did to them, you know what I'm saying? But other times, it's over petty stuff that someone was venting about. Oh my God, he left his dookie stains on the boxers. He put it in the washing machine, and now my clothes that I didn't want to wash myself and I want to wear again because no one saw me wear this dress before it got dookie stains on. You vented about stuff like that, bro. This goes back to what I said. You may forgive your partner, but others don't. They don't understand what it's like to love this person. They don't understand what it's like to be emotionally vulnerable with this person. You forgive them. This is crazy. Listen, you rant to me about your girl doing something stupid, bro. Every time I see her, that's the first thing I'm going to think about. First thing that's going to pop in my mind when I see her. Am I lying here, people? Am I lying? Someone shares something about someone you don't know like that, or who you're emotionally vulnerable with, and the first thing you think about when you see them is that negative detail or whatever your friend or whoever told you about, right? I don't want other people to feel that way about my shorty. You know what I'm saying? I don't want people to have those negative connotations or whatever about my shorty because I told them something that happened. You know what I'm saying? But to wrap this up, let me give a solution that is compromisable to both sides of this, right? You can just don't date people or settle with people who give you problems. Bada bing, bada boom, problems all right. But that's only in a perfect world. Then, because if you date somebody who doesn't give you problems, you know what I'm saying, then you won't have anyone to rant to. But again, naturally over time, you will find imperfections in people. Nobody's perfect, and people can't control themselves sometimes and want to complain or rant to other people about someone's personal imperfections and their romantic relationship that's ongoing, and now their friends or family get disgruntled. They get resentful, even over little things that aren't abusive. I don't know. Everyone has different boundaries. How do you guys feel about that? Do you prefer to keep everything in house, or do you feel like, I'll just tell all my friends, I'll tell all my friends, how about my significant other or this person, they gotta know their imperfections, they gotta know their perfection, you gotta know the good, the bad. Like, nah, I don't feel like you need to know that stuff. You don't need to know the good, bad, and ugly about my girl. I'll only tell you the good. You feel me? Anyway, this episode is found on Spotify and YouTube. I'm out.